Fox 5 News at 10 starts right now.
An Atlanta man's life came to a violent end overnight after he was gunned down by multiple bullets. Good evening to you. I'm Deidre Dukes.
And I'm Doug Evans. Tonight, his community came together to remember Terry Tolbert with a candlelight vigil. Fox 5's Laura Neal is live at Atlanta Police Headquarters for us tonight with more about this deadly shooting in Southwest Atlanta. Laura?
Yes, police tell us that Terry Tolbert took 2 fatal shots to the face and 3 to the chest early this morning. We were there as family, friends, and neighbors remembered his life.
I think this was a permanent solution, which is murder, for a temporary problem, and from what I gather, just being called out of your name.
Loved ones tell us a fight led to gunfire over drinking early in the morning.
They sat around for a while and drunk their alcohol, and and that basically was give you ammunition. So after that, everything just went bad.
Neighbors and family gathered to light candles and bring stuffed animals not far from where Tolbert fell.
Don't want to see each other. I don't understand. I just don't understand why would you take somebody's life. We all from the same area. You would think things would happen like this, but it seemed like it do. Real heartbreaking.
Tolbert leaves behind 3 children. His mother says the killing should stop with her son.
And my son's life should be enough for everybody. I don't believe in retaliation because that would happen in the afterlife for those that needs it.
Another shooting happened just hours later in the exact same spot. Police have not confirmed if they're related. Live at the Atlanta Police Headquarters, Laura Neal, Fox 5 News.
Laura, thank you. Developing tonight, Atlanta police are investigating a shooting after a juvenile was shot in the back. It happened early this morning on Stafford Street Northwest. Now, the child was taken to Grady Hospital. No word on their condition tonight.
2 men are recovering tonight after they stabbed each other at a McDonald's drive-thru. This happened on North Druid Hills Road around 3 in the morning. Police say a dispute broke out between the two. That's when they started stabbing each other. We're told one man was 29 years old, the other 47. Medics transported them to Grady Memorial Hospital with minor injuries.
Former UGA football player Mikey Henderson appeared in a Gwinnett County court this morning on charges of sexual assault. Henderson was arrested last week for an alleged inappropriate relationship with a student. Henderson was a math teacher and a coach at Parkview High School in Gwinnett County. He resigned Friday and was taken into police custody. No bond amount was set at today's hearing, and Henderson will be assigned a public defender.
Dunwoody police are searching for a woman they say stole 15 iPhones from a local Target store. Police released this surveillance photo of the woman. They say she pretended to be a Target tech employee by wearing a black Target mobile t-shirt to gain access to a restricted safe. Police say the 15 iPhones she stole are worth nearly $12,000. Police are hoping that photo will help them track down the thief. If you have any information, call the Dunwoody Police Department. The wicked storm that blew through Metro Atlanta last night took down a number of trees in our area,
including this one on Alston Drive in southeast Atlanta. Now, the storm uprooted the massive tree, causing it to crash down on a home. And when the tree went down, it took a second-story balcony with it. Another neighbor said no one was hurt.
We were just very, very happy that no one, or blessed really, that no one was injured, because they were home next door and scared to death, and I was too. And so it's just, we feel glad. You can always replace a house, but you can't replace people.
Oh, that's right. We're also told the storm brought down 2 other trees on the road as well. Well, after a rainy start to the day, it was nice to get some relief this afternoon.
That's right, but more rain could be headed our way. Let's check in with Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Jeff Hill for a first look at our forecast tonight, Jeff.
And it could be heavy, and with all the heavy rainfall that we've seen in the last 24 hours, any additional rain will run off, so we could be dealing with some flooding, especially as we get into maybe Tuesday, Wednesday. I think that'll be the time frame when we see the heaviest rain coming through. Right now, take a look at our Fox 5 Live Viper. You really got to squint to find it, but we have one little shower out there right now. It's near Whitesburg, right along the Chattahoochee River. That is it. That's all that's left of the rain. We may see a couple more showers developing overnight tonight, but it's not going to be all that much. There's the heavy rain that we had that came through yesterday, exited this morning. Area of low pressure still spinning right now upstate of South Carolina, starting to move into North Carolina. Meanwhile, out to the west, we have a slow-moving cold front, and along the front, some showers are lining up right now out around the Huntsville area, just north of Birmingham. These are working to the east, so may get a couple of those showers making it all the way over into northwest Georgia in the overnight. Otherwise, the rest of us, I think we're going to remain fairly dry as we go through the rest of tonight. But here's a look at the hour-by-hour forecast. And again, just after midnight, maybe a couple of these showers form up in the northwest corner of the state. Otherwise, for the rest of us, give it maybe about a 20-30% chance of seeing a shower. But by tomorrow afternoon, and especially going on into the evening, that's when we're going to see another round of some fairly heavy rainfall coming up our way. And then after that, another wave comes in for Tuesday and Wednesday. Current temperature outside right now still mild, 76 degrees after a high this afternoon of 82. Stay tuned. We'll take a look at that complete forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, now voters have less than a month to decide who will represent them in the 6th Congressional District in Georgia.
That's right. Candidates Karen Handel and Jon Ossoff try to make their case to a group of veterans today in Dunwoody. Fox 5's Claire Sims joining us live in studio. And Claire, the group asked both about candidates, about VA care and military resources.
Yeah, that's the right audience for this group. The event was very focused on veterans issues, and that is what both candidates said they will prioritize.
I believe we have a high obligation to make sure that they have what they need to do their jobs.
With just weeks left until the runoff, congressional hopefuls Karen Handel and Jon Ossoff address Jewish war veterans of the United States and their families in Dunwoody on Sunday. Ossoff and Handel are the final two candidates vying to replace Tom Price in the 6th Congressional District. Both candidates committed to bolstering resources for the men and women who serve our country.
I will work with our military to strengthen our national defense, to make sure that those service members get the respect and the resources and the responsiveness that they deserve.
Members of the audience submitted questions, from how our country should prevent veteran suicide to what steps should be taken to improve VA care.
If a veteran or his or her family cannot get the care they need at the VA hospital in a timely, reasonable fashion, then we ought to let them be able to avail themselves of private sector care as well.
I will oppose privatization of the VA and do everything in my power to exercise congressional oversight to hold the VA accountable to do its job and serve our veterans.
Both Ossoff and Handel say veterans issues will be a priority for them if they're elected.
I'm most impressed with Jon Ossoff. I think even though he's young.
Personally, I think that Ms. Handel is a better public speaker.
After the event, both candidates addressed the negative campaign ads in this race. Handel says her opponent has gone negative because he's losing it. But Ossoff says he's sticking to his message that the 6th District needs a fresh perspective and not a career politician. Doug?
All right, Claire, thank you. And if you haven't registered to vote for the 6th District runoff race between Ossoff and Handel, you only have about 2 more hours to do so. Today is the last day. The state offers online voter registration. You'll find it on the Secretary of State's website. The runoff election for the 6th District congressional seat is June 20th. It is only open to those who live in the district, which includes parts of Cobb, Fulton, and DeKalb counties.
From murders to armed robberies, it is one woman's job to help victims recreate the image of the suspects. Coming up, we'll introduce you to Georgia's forensic artist.
Plus, President Trump continues his first overseas trip as commander-in-chief. Ahead, more on what's being accomplished so far. Cody?
Yeah, even after losing Freddie Freeman, the Braves fight on. We'll have highlights as they went for a sweep of the Nationals. That's coming up on Fox 5 News at 10.
Wednesday.
She's put faces to hundreds of Georgia crimes. Law enforcement officers credit GBI forensic sketch artist Kelly Lawson with helping them solve hundreds of cases each year. Fox 5's Nathalie Pozo sat down with Lawson and tells us what it is that inspires her every day.
You have to sit down with someone who's had the most horrible thing that's ever happened to them in their entire life.
With each stroke of the pencil, Georgia Bureau of Investigation forensic sketch artist Kelly Lawson devotes herself to bringing a traumatic image from a victim's mind to paper.
The darkest shadow on the face is created where the nose and the eye sockets meet.
It's a job she's been doing for 5 years, taking over for her mother, who was the first forensic sketch artist in Georgia for nearly 4 decades. Her office covered in some of her mother's work.
It's been one of the most exciting, fulfilling, and rewarding jobs I've ever done, but there's a lot of anxiety and stress involved in trying to fill such an amazing person's shoes.
Lawson tells victims or witnesses of crime to flip through a book she keeps of faces, made up of celebrities, old mugshots that date back to the 1970s, and even pictures of her friends, and ask them to point out similar features to the person who attacked them.
And I say, okay, I want you to look through these photos and see if you see anything that reminds you of the person that you saw. Maybe they'll have similar eyes, nose, shape of the face, hairstyle. And they usually pick out about 4 or 5 photos which has at least one feature on there that reminds them of the person that they're thinking about.
And with that information, Lawson gets to work.
And I don't quit until they give it at least an 8 out of 10 rating on a scale of 1 to 10.
In about 35 minutes to an hour, she puts a face to the crime. Lawson draws about 300 sketches a year. These are just some of them.
This case has been dubbed in the media as Midtown Slasher.
You can see the resemblance between her sketches and the mugshot once the person is caught.
This is a Banks County case where this individual shot at a police officer.
She travels throughout the state of Georgia to different police agencies, one of them the Atlanta Police Department.
She's amazing talent. She's a critical part to what we do in our investigative techniques.
And while many in law enforcement will credit Lawson with helping them catch the suspect, a very humble Lawson says it's not because of her.
All I did was draw what they told me to draw. Sometimes they look amazingly like the person, and I just have to commend the victim for their amazing memory and their ability to deal with the stresses that they're feeling in the moment that they meet with me, enough to get to the information, the golden information that's in their mind.
Nathalie Pozo, Fox 5 News.
A call for unity in the fight against Islamic extremists from Donald Trump. He is on his first trip abroad as president and made his remarks in a speech to Arab leaders in Saudi Arabia. Well, Trump's address did not include the phrase radical Islamic terrorism, which had been a staple of his presidential campaign.
That means honestly confronting the crisis of Islamic extremism. It means standing together against the murder of innocent Muslims, the oppression of women, the persecution of Jews, and the slaughter of Christians.
Tomorrow, Trump goes to Jerusalem, where he will visit several holy sites and meet with Israeli and Palestinian leaders.
North Korea has fired another medium-range missile in its latest ballistics test. The launch comes just a week after the country tested what it said was a new type of rocket capable of carrying a large nuclear warhead. Fox's Ellison Barber has more from Washington.
Secretary of State Rex Tillerson says the U.S. is still in the, quote, early stages of applying economic and diplomatic pressure against the reclusive regime. But today's test is disturbing. Watch.
The ongoing testing is disappointing, it's disturbing, and we ask that they cease that, because until they cease that testing, clearly they have not changed their view. But I think we're early into the game of putting pressure on them, and one could also interpret that perhaps they're just acting out now in response to some of this pressure that I believe they're beginning to feel.
The North Koreans reportedly launched a medium-range ballistic missile around 9:59 p.m. Hawaii time. The U.S. Pacific Command says this missile launched near Bukchang, and they tracked it until it splashed down in the Sea of Japan. This comes a week after one of North Korea's most successful tests to date. Last Sunday, the communist regime launched a Hwasong-12 missile. U.S., South Korean, and Japanese officials say it traveled 1,245 25 miles above the surface of the Earth. NASA's International Space Station is about 240 miles above the Earth. That means North Korea's missile traveled so high it theoretically passed the space station by 1,000 miles. White House officials tell Fox News the missile launched today has a shorter range than the one tested last week. South Korean military officials say it traveled about 300 miles. It did not pose a direct threat to North America. This is the 11th test carried out by North Korea this year. Last year, they tested 7 in the same time frame. In Washington, I'm Ellison Barber, Fox News.
Former FBI Director James Comey has agreed to return to Capitol Hill to testify before lawmakers in a public hearing. It is expected to be his first public remarks made since his firing earlier this month. He told the Senate Intelligence Committee he was willing to testify last week. As of right now, there is no set date for Comey to testify. Officials say it likely will not be until sometime after Memorial Day.
The final act, Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus have performed for the last time. Ahead, a glimpse at that performance.
But first, former Falcon star Roddy White is now a high school football coach. We'll catch up with Roddy and hear about his new career. That's next in Fox 5 Sports.